Hello everyone, welcome to the first devlog for Surr Simple Inventory version 2, which has been in the development for the past few weeks now. So I'll show you what's cooking right now and what I have planned for the asset pack at the time of release. So the standard affair, picking up boxes of different sizes, you can drag them around, transfer them to different grids, or remove them, pick more up, and so on. So the immediately new changes, obviously, there's a much more refined dragging system. You can see it follows the mouse more cleanly, whereas Surr Simple Inventory version 1 did not. The positioning of dragging, when you stop dragging an item, it will use the mouse position rather than the object's position. It will appear where the mouse is, not where the item is right now, which is a much nicer system, I find, much less clunky and awkward. And another thing, this was a common grievance with most people using the first one. There is now a custom player character controller included in this script pack, because I know one issue was that people could not set it up properly due to the requirement for the standard assets first person controller, so I've made my own. So easy enough for a sample scene and integration and so on. And one of my personal new favourite additions to this is the events system. So if you've noticed in the top left, when I pick up an item or move an item around, it will tell me. That is the event system in play, and what it does is there are, I believe, 6 types of events. So there's adding an event, dropping an item, transferring an item is transferred, the event for that, an item is rejected, and adding an item, I believe. Let me check. Yes, so when an item is being added to the inventory, and then when the item is added. So 6 events total. And what these do is you can bind any specific message to a certain other object and and you can choose what type of data to send. The best one I'd say is the item data itself, because then that allows for notifications like this, where the 3x3 boxes, it says you picked up a 3x3 box. I think this system will be one of the strongest strengths of this asset pack compared to the first one, because it allows for a much cleaner integration into other people's works, because it's entirely codeless. All you have to do is just add an event into the script, send a message to elsewhere, and you're set. So say, this works for even say a multiplayer game like an objective based, say capture the flag. Someone's picked up the flag, you send the event send an adding event to, like, say, the host of the match, and it will say, hey, X has got the flag, do whatever with it. I think that's like the biggest new addition, I would say. Things I have planned, item rotation, obviously, a staple from the previous one. That's currently not in this devlog. I do plan on adding that. And one other grievance was the lack of the tag requirements in the first system. I know but this one you do not need tags. The most you might need is, say, another layer for items to handle raycasting. And then the way item dragging has been processed is much different. So we now use a bound system, which calculates the positions of the grids using offset values, the width and the height, to calculate positions. So you can see there's a slight gap here, that's the offset. And what this allows is, basically, if you take an item, and it will figure out if it's within the bounds of this. So that's good. If it's out, it will drop. And this is much better, I think, and should be less intensive than the previous system, which used physics and boxes. So originally in the first version, this 1x1 box would use a 1x1 collider. This would use a 3x3 collider. This would use a 25x5 collider, and they'd figure out if they overlapped using triggers and whatnot, after snapping to a position, I believe, which is kind of clunky and might prove to be like intensive on the system. Or if your physics updates are a bit weird for whatever reason, like say you might set the fixed time step to something high, then that'll be a problem. But with this system, it should be much easier, much cleaner, and it should account for other things, like say if you have a ridiculous offset here, for some reason it's all the way to the right, it will be fine. It will sort it out perfectly. And what I have another grievance before was in Addendum 2, which was pointed out, is handling raycasting. So now, instead of having to set the inventory object to the center where the camera is, you can now manually set a raycast point for where it is, or it will assign itself to the main camera, and it will work from there, which is much more useful for third-person games. So if you have a specific point on the player character you want to raycast from rather than the camera, that is much better and much simpler. You just plop it in there and you're set. Another feature I have planned is a nearby item interaction. So if you want to open your inventory and there's a list of nearby items you want to pick up, that's not implemented yet, but I plan on implementing it once item rotation and descriptions are added. That's one thing I want to add, is clicking on an item to preview it, and then possibly live previews, so you look at an item and you're given an actual description of it as you're looking at it. That's one of my planned features. So if I look at my Trello, so there's equipable items, dropping items, which is set, and then ways to add new grids in real time. So if, say, in a survival game you find a bag and you wish to put it on, then you'll have to process handling a new grid, which should work perfectly fine in this new system. So I believe that's everything for the time being. Thank you for watching. I hope you're excited as much as I am for this new asset pack. I'll see you around, maybe in a week or two once I've added more features.